I want to bring in the other lawmaker who got to see Liam, Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas. Thank you so much for being here and for helping us to understand what you saw. Do you agree, or are you worried after seeing Liam about his energy, about what he's been through? Tell us your observations.
Yeah, so I want to be clear. I am gravely concerned about Liam, as I am all the children that we were able to see. There was a common kind of note that was struck by every single parent that we were able to speak with. Their concern was for their children. The children right now are depressed. They're not getting any education at all. Many of them are not eating. They are throwing up. We had reports about issues with the water, so we made sure that we actually took a sample of the water for ourselves to be able to test. But I don't even know if what I saw out of Liam was sleep, because I've dealt with a lot of kids, and when I tried to touch him, tried to move him just to see if I could get his eyes to open, his eyes never opened. We never saw his eyes open the entire time we were there, and he did not necessarily seem like he was asleep. There wasn't kind of the heavy breathing sometimes that occurs when you're asleep. I was very concerned about his appearance, as well as he appeared a bit pale.
What do you think might be going on then?
I have no idea. I mean, we also talked to the psychiatrist that is at the facility, as well as the nurse practitioner. They indicated that there are a lot of people that struggle with the depression, and Liam's father told us that Liam had been asking about his mom and crying for his mom, who happens to be 4 months pregnant and had to be hospitalized once she received information about what happened to her husband and her child. So, you know, do I believe that he's depressed? Yes. But the reports of children not eating is very concerning. And it seems like the administration there does not want to do anything to kind of make sure that these children are getting at least some of the nutrition that they need.
Well, you and Congressman Castro were very clear. You're calling for his release. Did you get any answers as to why he's still there? And is there any hope of getting him out?
Yeah, basically the answer was our hands are tied. This is, you know, higher than our pay goes, right? Like, basically, like, this is a DC thing. I do want to back up to something you were saying, though, in your previous conversation. As we go through these negotiations and Senate Dems are thinking about what it is that they're going to do, I think that our negotiations should empower the people and should empower the people's attorneys. I don't trust the idea that we should say, hey, don't break the law, and then they're not going to break the law. It's already against the law to do half the things that we're asking them to do. We're basically asking them, please just follow the law. I want to do things like, let's look at a real speedy trial issue as relates to detainees. We have speedy trial for everything else. Let's put some timelines on this. Let's put some more parameters that empower their attorneys to get people out of custody that are suffering right now. Those are the things that we should be doing. We should be working on a pathway to citizenship. We should be using this moment to make sure that we give the resources and tools, not only to make sure that we're keeping our border safe, but also that the resources are there to actually process cases so we know who has real asylum cases and who doesn't. And the final point that I'll make is so many of these people are sitting in custody, and I'm so tired of hearing they're illegal, illegal, illegal. I am tired of hearing they did it the wrong way. That was not the story that I heard from so many people. They were, quote unquote, doing it the right way. They were showing up to their meetings, and then they were being hauled off when they were showing up, or they were showing up to court and they were being hauled off. I am tired of the nonsense. Let's be honest. This administration has decided that it wants to target anybody who has a little bit of melanin in their skin, or target people simply because of an accent. That is not who we are supposed to be as Americans, and it is time for us to call a thing and say that we're going to do better. But right now, I don't trust this administration to do anything that involves them following the law. So the best thing that we can do is empower their attorneys so that when they get to court, because it seems like the only branch of government that hasn't completely failed us right now is the judiciary.
Well, one of the things that we've been seeing, and we have gotten numerous reports about, particularly in Minneapolis, is people getting picked up. They say they're citizens. They say they want a chance to show their papers. They want a chance to show their passport. And yet they get sent to Texas. And then even when they're released, as we've heard from family and friends, they have to raise money to get them back, sometimes on flights. Sometimes what they can afford is a bus. I'm curious about the story you heard from Liam's dad and other people inside, other adults inside that facility.
Yeah, so obviously if they're still there, they're not out. We've talked about some of the bond hearings being pushed off over and over and over. They would set them for the bond hearings, then they wouldn't have them. I talked to one family where It was actually a Russian family out of Florida. And, you know, the father actually owns a trucking business, and he's concerned about whether or not his business will still exist when he finally gets back. But he was denied bond. His wife was denied bond. His daughter was denied bond. She's a senior in high school who's looking forward to heading off to college. And his son actually was granted bond. So his son actually recently got out. He then said that in a later bond hearing that had just taken place actually the morning that we visited, they finally granted them bond, and he was hoping that he was going to be out on today. But they are talking about the strains on trying to get those funds when, again, we're talking about people that were, quote unquote, doing it the right way, and they are trying to do everything that they can to intimidate them. We talked to another woman who was crying profusely, who's from Cuba, and she was saying that basically they twisted her arm and said, if you want to get out, the only thing that you can do is self-deport, and we're sending you to Ecuador. And she was crying and crying and crying, and she had her baby boy who was 2 years old with her. The stories are so wild and far-ranging. Another woman out of Colorado who had been in this country for 7 years, she's Venezuelan, and basically she said that she was told you need to self-deport. And so her and her husband, who had met all of their meetings, had done everything, they were working through their case, and she said that she was then trying to cross into Canada because she had been working with an attorney. They had worked it out where she could go to Canada, and it was at the border that they grabbed her and said no, and said that she was trying to run away from the process. I mean, these are people. In fact, the very first question that I asked when I got in was, how many of these people are, quote unquote, the bad ones? How many of them have criminal records? The answer was none. None. So you have a facility that is full of more than 1,000 people, and they don't have criminal records. This isn't what the Trump administration promised. I think for everyone who was looking to make sure that our country was going to be kept safe, and they may have decided that immigration was their issue, they went with Donald Trump because they felt like he would keep them safe. But instead, he is the one that is bringing crime to our doors. He is the one that is attacking our neighbors and our friends. And frankly, you know, when we talk about the parameters on this particular rogue agency, ICE does not have anything to do with U.S. citizens. The fact that they continue to target U.S. citizens and go after them, again, that exceeds their legal authority. And so I think that the real answers are going to be to empower people to be plaintiffs and be able to sue and get some money back, and making it very clear. That is what we are going to have to do in the law, because just basically telling them that, yeah, follow the law, they're going to ignore us and laugh in our face like they've been doing this entire time. But when a judge is empowered because we have enacted legislation that empowers the people, then we may end up hearing a little bit of a different tune, especially if we can figure out a way to make these rogue officers personally liable under civil liability.
The administration keeps claiming that this is what the American people voted for. But we know about a preschooler named Liam, 5 years old. You just mentioned a 2-year-old. You just mentioned a teenager. And that's in the short time that you were inside that facility. There are entire sections of state and the federal government that are set up to protect children. We spend billions of dollars on programs designed to protect children. What is this?
I have no idea. The only thing that I can say is that this is Trump's America, but this isn't the America that represents the land of the free and the land of opportunity. It is the exact opposite. And that is why I am so dedicated to just trying to bring us together. There's so much more that unites us than divides us, but right now we allowed a politics of division and hate to do just that, divide us and hurt us. And as the saying goes, you know, first they came from this group, and then that group, and then that group, and then finally there was nobody to stand and speak for me. This is why no matter what, I will continue to speak out, because this is just the right thing to do. This isn't about right or left at this point in time. This is about right or wrong. And right now, this administration is wrong, and we need people to unite. I will say, and I will be honest, those Republicans that have come forward and said that this is wrong, I applaud them. Because we know that anytime you're on the opposite side of Donald Trump, that can lead to the death threats and the hate. But they have decided that some things just have to be bigger than themselves. And frankly, as public servants, we all should decide that things need to be bigger than ourselves.